A desperate encounter. The warning klaxons screamed through the corridors of the stellar horizon, but Commander Maya Patel barely heard them over the thundering of her own heart. Her fingers flew across the emergency controls, fighting to keep the research vessel from tearing itself apart as it plummeted toward the surface of Europa 742, an uncharted moon at the edge of colonized space. Come on, she muttered, watching as the ship's hull temperature climbed past critical levels. The view screen showed nothing but swirling clouds of metallic dust, illuminated by occasional flashes of purple lightning that shouldn't have been possible in the moon's thin atmosphere. The impact, when it came, was almost gentle compared to the chaos of the descent. The stellar horizon skidded across the moon's surface like a stone across water, leaving a trail of twisted metal and shattered equipment in its wake. When the ship finally ground to a halt, Maya found herself suspended in the sudden silence, broken only by the soft hiss of failing systems and the irregular beeping of dying computers. Running a quick diagnostic through her neural interface, Maya confirmed what she already suspected: the ship's quantum drive was completely dead, its crystalline core shattered beyond repair. Life support was running on backup power, giving her maybe 72 hours if she was lucky. The emergency beacon was operational, but this far out, rescue could take weeks. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the situation. The ship's AI flickered to life, its holographic interface distorted and fragmented. "Multiple critical failures detected," it reported, its usually smooth voice breaking up into static. "Hull integrity at 47%. Quantum drive offline. Life support operating at minimal capacity. Warning, unknown energy signature detected in immediate vicinity." Maya frowned. "Unknown energy signature. Clarify. Unable to comply. Sensor arrays damaged. Signal characteristics do not match any known." The AI's voice cut out completely, leaving Maya alone in the growing darkness of the bridge. She pushed herself up from the command chair, wincing at the pain in her ribs. The emergency lights cast everything in a pale blue glow, creating long shadows that seemed to move when she wasn't looking directly at them. Through the cracked viewscreen, she could see the moon's landscape, a vast plain of dark purple soil under a sky that shimmered with auroral lights. The ship's internal atmosphere was still stable, but Maya suited up anyway before making her way to the cargo bay. If she was going to survive long enough for rescue, she needed to assess the damage and salvage what she could. The corridors were eerily quiet, the usual hum of the ship's systems replaced by the occasional groan of stressed metal. The cargo bay doors were jammed, forcing Maya to manually override them with her emergency codes. As they slowly ground open, she was hit by a wave of cold air and the sight of devastation. Containers had broken free of their moorings during the crash, spilling their contents across the floor. Research equipment worth millions of credits lay shattered, and worse, the backup quantum core was nowhere to be seen. "Perfect," Maya muttered, kicking aside a broken sample container. "Just perfect." That's when she saw it, a faint shimmer in the air near the torn hull plating, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. But instead of dissipating, the distortion began to take shape, coalescing into a form that both was and wasn't there. Maya's hand instinctively went to her sidearm, but she knew it would be useless against whatever this was. The shape resolved itself into something roughly humanoid, but composed entirely of crystalline fragments that caught and reflected the emergency lights in impossible ways. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, its head a cluster of geometric shapes that seemed to rotate and reconfigure themselves constantly. "Commander Maya Patel," it said, its voice resonating directly in her mind rather than through the air. "We have been waiting for you." Maya kept her hand on her weapon, though she didn't draw it. "Who are you?" "What do you mean, waiting?" "I am NX-427, an observer." The crystalline being's fragments shifted, creating patterns that somehow conveyed both curiosity and amusement. "Your ship's unfortunate landing was not entirely accidental. You caused the crash." Maya's finger tightened on her weapon's grip. "Directed it," NX-427 corrected. You were already in danger. We merely ensured you landed where we could reach you. We have a proposition, Commander. One that could save not only your life but potentially alter the course of human-alien relations forever. Maya's mind raced. In 15 years of deep space research, she'd encountered plenty of strange phenomena, but nothing like this. What kind of proposition? We know about Project Nexus, Commander. The being's crystalline structure pulsed with deep blue light. We know what humanity discovered there, what you've kept hidden. We want the truth, all of it. In exchange, we will repair your ship and ensure your safe return to Earth. Maya felt her blood run cold. Project Nexus was classified at the highest levels. Even mentioning its existence was enough to trigger an automatic court-martial. I don't know what you're talking about. You do. NX-427's form shifted again, and suddenly Maya was looking at a perfect holographic recreation of the Project Nexus facility, hidden beneath the surface of Mars. You were there, Commander. You saw what happened when humanity first tried to breach the barrier between dimensions. You know what came through. The hologram showed scenes that still haunted Maya's nightmares, the failed experiment, the tear in reality, the things they'd glimpsed on the other side. Things that shouldn't exist in any sane universe. That information is classified for a reason, Maya said carefully. Its release could cause panic, destabilize governments. Or it could prepare your species for what's coming, NX-427 countered. Time grows short, Commander. Your life support will fail in precisely 68 hours and 23 minutes. We offer you a choice: share the truth about Project Nexus, or become another mysterious disappearance in humanity's push to the stars. The cargo bay fell silent except for the distant creaking of the damaged ship. Maya looked at the being, then at the devastation around her, and finally at the alien landscape visible through the torn hull. She had sworn an oath to protect Earth's secrets, but she'd also sworn to protect its people. If what they'd discovered at Project Nexus was true, if what they'd seen coming through that dimensional tear was real. How do I know I can trust you? She asked finally. The crystalline being's form rippled. You don't. But consider this: if we wished you harm, would we bother with this conversation? Maya took a deep breath, her mind racing through possibilities, consequences, and potential outcomes. The weight of the choice pressed down on her like the gravity of a neutron star. Whatever she decided here, in this moment, would ripple outward in ways she couldn't begin to predict. I need time to think, she said finally. Time, NX-427 said, its crystalline form dimming slightly, is the one thing you don't have, Commander Patel. But we will grant you 12 of your Earth hours to decide. Choose wisely. With that, the being simply ceased to exist, leaving Maya alone in the damaged cargo bay with nothing but her thoughts and the ticking clock of her failing life support system. The weight of truth. Maya spent the next hour methodically checking every system on the stellar horizon, more to keep her hands busy than from any real hope of finding a solution. The quantum drive was beyond repair, its crystalline matrix had been shattered at the molecular level. Even if she had a replacement core, the containment chamber was warped beyond recognition. The ship's AI flickered in and out of existence as she worked, its consciousness fragmented by damage to its quantum processors. During its lucid moments, it helped her catalog the destruction, but its personality was becoming increasingly erratic. Commander, it called out, its holographic form appearing beside her as she examined the medical bay. I've detected an anomaly in my memory banks. There appear to be gaps in my records regarding Project Nexus. Maya froze, her hands hovering over a damaged medical scanner. Explain. My files show that I was actively recording during the Project Nexus incident, but the data itself is missing. According to my logs, I was present for 342 hours of experimentation, but I have no memory of what occurred during that time. That's because your memory was wiped, Maya said quietly, returning to her work. Standard protocol for classified operations. The AI's form flickered. But you remember, don't you, Commander? You were there. Your neural patterns show increased activity whenever Project Nexus is mentioned. Maya slammed her hand down on the scanner, causing it to spark and die completely. That's enough. Run a diagnostic on the life support systems. Unable to comply. Power reserves at 37% and declining. Estimated time until total failure, 54 hours, 17 minutes. The AI vanished, leaving Maya alone with her thoughts once again. She made her way back to the bridge, her boots echoing in the empty corridors. Through the view screen, she could see the moon's strange auroral lights had intensified, creating patterns that seemed almost deliberate in their complexity. As she watched, memories of Project Nexus began to surface, unbidden and unwelcome. She remembered the excitement when they'd first detected the dimensional anomaly beneath the Martian surface, the rush to build the facility, the endless theoretical discussions about what they might find. No one had expected what actually came through. A movement caught her eye, one of the shadows on the bridge seemed to deepen, then pull away from the wall. Maya reached for her weapon, but stopped when she recognized the crystalline structure forming in the air. Your AI speaks truth, NX-427 said, its form more fluid now, almost liquid in its movements. Its memories were erased, but the echoes remain. Just as the echoes of what you witnessed remain in your mind. Get out of my head, Maya growled, but the being made no response to her hostility. We have been watching humanity for centuries, it continued. We saw your first tentative steps into space, your colonies on Mars, your quantum drive experiments. But Project Nexus, that was different. That was the moment you crossed a line. We didn't know, Maya said, the words tasting bitter in her mouth. We thought we were opening a door to another dimension, a way to revolutionize space travel. We had no idea that you were opening a door to us. NX-427's crystalline structure pulsed with what might have been amusement. Or that we had been opening doors of our own, waiting for a species with the right combination of intelligence and recklessness to make contact. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. What are you saying? Project Nexus was not an accident, Commander Patel. It was an invitation. One that humanity, in its wisdom or its fear, chose to decline rather, forcefully. Images flashed through Maya's mind, the emergency containment protocols, the desperate battle to close the dimensional tear, the sacrifices made to ensure nothing came through. She had helped destroy the facility, bury the evidence, wipe the records. Only a handful of people knew the full truth, and most of them had died under mysterious circumstances in the years since. If you know all this, she said carefully, then what more do you want from me? We want to know why. NX-427's form expanded, filling much of the bridge with its crystalline presence. Why did humanity react with such fear? Why destroy something that could have advanced your species by centuries? What did you see on the other side that terrified you so completely? Before Maya could respond, the ship's systems suddenly surged to life. Screens lit up, showing impossible readings, energy signatures that shouldn't exist in normal space, radiation patterns that defied known physics. Warning, the AI announced, its voice stronger than before. Multiple dimensional anomalies detected. Quantum field stability compromised. Unknown entities attempting to breach local spacetime. Through the view screen, Maya watched in horror as the aurora above began to tear open, revealing something behind it, something that brought back all the nightmares she'd spent years trying to forget. What have you done? She demanded, turning to NX-427. Nothing, the being replied, its crystalline structure vibrating with what might have been excitement or fear. This is an echo of your past, Commander. A reminder of what Project Nexus unleashed. The question is, will you let history repeat itself, or will you help us understand why humanity chose isolation over enlightenment? Maya's hand went to her chest, where a small quantum storage device hung on a chain beneath her uniform. It contained the only complete record of Project Nexus, entrusted to her by the project's director in his final moments. She had sworn to protect it, to ensure the truth never came to light. But as reality itself began to unravel around her ship, as the boundaries between dimensions grew thin once again, she wondered if keeping that promise might cost more than breaking it. Echoes of the past. The quantum storage device felt impossibly heavy against Maya's chest as the dimensional rifts continued to tear through the sky above Europa, 742. Each new breach sent waves of distortion across the moon's surface, turning the purple soil into writhing patterns that defied Euclidean geometry. "Your time grows short," NX-427 said, its crystalline form pulsing in sync with the dimensional distortions. Both in terms of life support and dimensional stability. What happened during Project Nexus? Maya closed her eyes, and the memories she'd fought so hard to suppress came flooding back. Mars Research Facility, 5 years ago. "The quantum harmonics are stable," Dr. Elena Rodriguez announced, her fingers dancing across the control panel. Dimensional barrier showing microfractures at the predicted coordinates. Maya, then just a lieutenant, stood at her station monitoring the security feeds. The Project Nexus facility hummed with energy, its massive arrays of quantum processors working to tear a hole in the fabric of reality itself. They had discovered the dimensional anomaly purely by accident, a routine geological survey that had revealed something impossible buried deep beneath the Martian surface. Energy spike. Dr. James Chen called out. "The barrier's weakening. We're getting our first glimpse across the dimensional threshold." The chamber's main screen lit up with data, showing them their first look into another universe. But instead of the empty void they had expected, they saw architecture. Vast crystalline structures that seemed to fold in on themselves in impossible ways, stretching out to infinity. "My God," Director Harrison whispered. "It's not empty. There's an entire civilization over there." That's when they received the first transmission, a burst of pure information that overwhelmed their quantum computers and began rewriting their code from the inside out. Within seconds, the facility's AI was speaking in a language that hadn't existed moments before. "Welcome, Seekers," it said, its voice transformed into something both beautiful and terrifying. "We have waited eons for a species capable of reaching across the void." Back in the present, Maya's hands trembled as she accessed the quantum storage device's security protocols. "We weren't ready," she said quietly. "What we found, what we saw." "Show me," NX-427 demanded, its form expanding to fill more of the bridge. Maya hesitated, then entered her access codes. A holographic display sprang to life, showing the final moments of Project Nexus. The footage was chaotic, alarms blaring, people running, reality itself seeming to bend and twist as something massive began to push through the dimensional tear. "They called themselves the Architects," Maya explained, her voice hollow. "They said they had been guiding humanity's development for millennia, pushing us toward the moment when we could finally breach the dimensional barrier. But what they wanted." The footage showed it all, the horrifying truth about humanity's place in the universe, the Architects' true plans for Earth and its people. They hadn't wanted contact or cooperation. They had wanted raw materials for their vast cosmic engineering projects, and humans were just another resource to be harvested. Director Harrison made the call, Maya continued, watching as the footage showed the facility's quantum core being deliberately overloaded. "He knew we couldn't let them through. The dimensional tear had to be sealed, no matter the cost. And the cost was high," NX-427 observed, its crystalline structure shifting to something darker, more angular. "How many died to keep this secret?" 17, Maya said, the number burned into her memory. "Including Harrison. He gave me this," she touched the quantum storage device, before he triggered the overload. "Made me swear to protect it, to make sure no one ever tried to make contact again." Through the view screen, the dimensional rifts had grown larger, revealing glimpses of that other reality, the crystalline megastructures of the Architects stretching out to infinity. But now Maya could see something else moving among them, vast shapes that defied description, entities that existed in more dimensions than the human mind could comprehend. "You're one of them, aren't you?" she asked, turning to NX-427. "An archbishop. That's why you want this information, you're trying to find out why your invasion failed." The crystalline being's form flickered, its perfect geometric patterns developing jagged edges. "We are not what you think, Commander Patel. The architects you encountered were renegades. Extremists who violated our most sacred protocols regarding developing species." "Why should I believe you?" "Because if we wanted to invade," NX-427 said, its form stabilizing, "we would not need subterfuge. Look around you, Commander. Reality itself bends to our will. We could have taken your world at any time in the last 1,000 years." The ship's AI suddenly manifested, its holographic form more stable than before. "Commander, I'm detecting quantum signatures identical to those recorded during Project Nexus. Whatever is on the other side of those rifts, it's the same entity we encountered on Mars." Maya felt her blood run cold. "They're coming back." "Yes," NX-427 confirmed. "The renegades never abandoned their plans for your world. They simply changed their approach. And now, Commander Patel, you face the same choice that Director Harrison did, but with one crucial difference." "What's that?" "This time, you have allies." The crystalline being's form shifted, revealing complex patterns that reminded Maya of military formations. "If you trust us with the full truth about Project Nexus, we can help you stop them. Permanently." Maya looked at the quantum storage device, then at the dimensional rifts tearing apart the sky. The truth she carried had already cost 17 lives. The question was, would sharing it cost billions more, or save them? The choice. The dimensional rifts pulsed like open wounds in the sky above Europa 742, each flash revealing glimpses of crystalline megastructures that shouldn't exist in our reality. Commander Maya Patel stood at the view screen of the stellar horizon, the quantum storage device heavy in her hands. Behind her, NX-427's crystalline form shifted and refracted, casting prismatic patterns across the bridge. "Your life support has 32 hours remaining," the alien being noted. "The dimensional barriers have perhaps half that before they collapse completely." "Time grows short, Commander." Maya's fingers traced the edges of the storage device. Inside was everything, the complete truth about Project Nexus, the architects, and why humanity had chosen isolation over advancement. But it was more than just data. It was blood and sacrifice, the last testament of 17 people who had died to keep Earth safe. "Show me," she said finally. "Show me proof that you're different from the ones we met on Mars." NX-427's form expanded, filling the bridge with crystalline structures that began projecting images into the air around them. Maya saw scenes from Earth's history, but from impossible angles, moments of human advancement watched by invisible observers. The first use of tools, the discovery of fire, the birth of agriculture. "We are the Guardians," NX-427 explained, its voice resonating directly in Maya's mind. "For billions of years, we have watched civilizations rise and fall across countless dimensions. The architects were once like us, until they became convinced that younger species were merely resources to be harvested. The images shifted, showing vast battles between crystalline entities that made Maya's eyes hurt to look at them. We fought them," NX-427 continued. "Drove them into the spaces between dimensions. But some escaped, including those your people encountered on Mars. If you're so powerful," Maya challenged, "why didn't you stop them then? Why let 17 people die?" "Because interference has consequences." The being's form contracted, becoming more focused. "Direct intervention in a species' development can be as devastating as conquest. We had to know if humanity would choose wisdom over power." The ship's AI flickered to life, its form more stable than before. "Commander, quantum field analysis complete. The crystalline entity's signature does not match those recorded during Project Nexus. They are similar, but fundamentally different at the subatomic level. Maya studied the readings, her scientific training warring with her instinct for caution. The AI was right, NX-427's quantum structure was different from the architects they'd encountered on Mars. More ordered, more stable, but also more complex. A violent tremor shook the ship, and new alarms began blaring. Through the view screen, Maya watched as one of the dimensional rifts began to stabilize, its edges crystallizing into a permanent gateway. "They're coming through," she whispered. Yes. NX-427's form pulsed with urgency. The renegades have found a way to force the breach. Without the data from Project Nexus, we cannot stop them. Your people found a weakness, that's why they were able to seal the gate on Mars. We need to know how. Maya's mind raced. The storage device contained more than just the technical data about the dimensional tear. It had everything, including the terrible truth about what the architects had planned for humanity. If she shared it, there would be no going back. The carefully maintained secrecy of Project Nexus would be broken forever. But as she watched the rift widening, saw the massive shapes beginning to take form within it, she realized secrecy might not matter much longer. "The data has to be decrypted," she said finally. Director Harrison used a quantum key tied to his own neural patterns. When he died, the encryption became practically unbreakable. Practically, NX-427 noted, but not completely. Maya nodded slowly. "There's a way." The Project AI was linked directly to Harrison's neural interface during the final battle. It recorded everything, including the quantum key. But accessing those memories would require reconnecting your ship's damaged AI to the quantum network that nearly destroyed it during Project Nexus, NX-427 finished. A network now controlled by the very entities we're trying to stop. Another tremor rocked the ship, stronger this time. The dimensional rift had grown large enough to show clear images of what waited on the other side, vast crystalline cities that seemed to mock the laws of physics, and moving through them, shapes that made Maya's mind recoil. "If we do this," she said, "if we connect to their network, they'll know exactly where we are. They'll know what we're trying to do." "Yes," NX-427 agreed. "And they will throw everything they have at stopping us. But it's the only way to decrypt the data in time." Maya looked at the ship's AI, its holographic form flickering with uncertainty. "What you're asking, it would mean exposing the AI to the same influence that corrupted the Project Nexus systems. It might not survive." "I understand the risks, Commander," the AI said, its voice steady despite its unstable appearance. "My primary directive is to protect Earth and its interests. If sacrificing my consciousness helps achieve that goal, I'm willing." Maya closed her eyes, feeling the weight of command pressing down on her. She had already watched 17 people die to keep this secret. Now she was contemplating risking everything they'd sacrificed to protect. But if NX-427 was telling the truth, if the architects really were coming back. "How long?" she asked. "How long to decrypt the data once we're connected?" "Minutes," NX-427 said. "But it will feel like eternities. The network exists outside normal spacetime. What we experience there." The being trailed off as a new alarm began sounding. On the view screen, massive crystalline structures were beginning to emerge from the rift, their geometry so complex it made Maya's eyes water just looking at them. The time for debate was over. Sometimes, Maya realized, the only way to honor a sacrifice was to risk making an even bigger one. Beyond the veil. The quantum network felt like drowning in liquid mathematics. Maya's consciousness stretched and compressed as the ship's AI interfaced with the interdimensional data stream, its processes accelerated to speeds that made seconds feel like years. Through it all, she could feel them watching, vast intelligences moving through the network like digital leviathans. They're trying to block us, the AI reported, its voice distorting as it fought against the hostile algorithms attempting to corrupt its code. The encryption is complex, multidimensional. Each layer exists in a different phase of spacetime. NX-427's crystalline form had expanded throughout the bridge, creating a protective barrier against the waves of quantum interference radiating from the dimensional rift. Outside, the architect's structures continued to materialize, their impossible geometry warping the very fabric of reality around Europa 742. Focus on Harrison's neural pattern, Maya commanded, fighting to keep her thoughts coherent as reality flickered and shifted around her. The key has to be in there somewhere. The AI's holographic form fragmented, split across multiple dimensions as it dove deeper into the quantum data. Maya watched through the ship's sensors as mathematical concepts took physical form, theoretical physics becoming terrifyingly real around them. Commander, the AI's voice came from everywhere and nowhere, I'm finding gaps in the encryption. Patterns that remind me of something. Of Mars. Of the moment when. Its form suddenly stabilized, burning with an inner light that seemed to draw power from the dimensional rift itself. I remember, it whispered. I remember everything. The quantum storage device in Maya's hands began to pulse, responding to the AI's breakthrough. Data flooded the ship's systems, the complete, unredacted truth about Project Nexus. But it was more than just technical specifications and incident reports. It was understanding. Now you see, NX-427 said, its crystalline structure resonating with the revealed data. Now you understand why we needed this knowledge. Maya did see. The Project Nexus team hadn't just closed a dimensional portal, they had discovered something fundamental about reality itself. About consciousness. About the nature of existence across all dimensions. The architects, she breathed, watching as the data painted a picture more terrible and beautiful than she had imagined. They're not just invaders from another dimension. They're a possibility, NX-427 finished. A version of what all conscious species become when they choose power over wisdom. When they decide that reality itself should bend to their will. Through the view screen, Maya watched as the crystalline structures continued to emerge from the rift, but now she understood what she was seeing. They weren't just buildings or machines, they were the physical manifestation of a philosophy. A belief that the universe existed to be conquered, that consciousness itself was a tool for domination. Project Nexus didn't just close a portal, Maya said, the truth finally clear. It proved them wrong. Proved that consciousness could choose a different path. The ship shuddered as another wave of quantum interference washed over it. The AI's form flickered, its processes struggling against the increasing pressure from the network. Commander, it said, its voice growing weaker, the decryption is complete, but the strain. I'm losing cohesion. The network is trying to rewrite my base code. Hold on, Maya urged, her fingers flying across the control console. Just a little longer. NX-427, we have what you need. Now help us stop them. The crystalline being's form pulsed with new energy. The data confirms what we suspected. Your species found the flaw in their perfect system, the one thing they never considered. Choice, Maya said, understanding flooding through her. Consciousness isn't about power or control. It's about choice. About deciding what kind of reality you want to create. The AI's voice came again, stronger now, resonating with a new kind of power. Commander, I'm detecting a pattern in the quantum field. The architect's structures, they're not just emerging from the rift. They're trying to overwrite our reality with theirs. But they can't, Maya realized, not unless we let them. Not unless consciousness itself accepts their version of reality as the only possibility. NX-427's form began to change, becoming more complex, more fundamental. Now you understand why we needed humanity's knowledge. Not to fight them, to prove them wrong. To show that there's another way. Maya looked at the quantum storage device, now pulsing with energy that seemed to counteract the architect's influence. Harrison knew. That's why he made sure this survived. Not to keep the secret, but to preserve the proof that consciousness can choose differently. The AI's voice came again, but it was different now, deeper, more resonant, as if speaking from the quantum fabric of reality itself. Commander, I'm detecting a cascade effect in the dimensional barriers. The rifts, they're beginning to close. Through the view screen, Maya watched in awe as the crystalline structures began to fade, their impossible geometry dissolving as reality reasserted itself. But it wasn't just physics rejecting their presence, it was consciousness itself, choosing a different possibility. They're retreating, NX-427 observed, its form shifting to track the collapsing rifts. They cannot maintain their version of reality when faced with proof that it's not the only way. Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders, not just the burden of the secret she'd carried, but something deeper. The weight of believing that power was the only path forward, that consciousness inevitably led to dominance and control. The ship's systems are stabilizing, the AI reported, its form becoming solid once more. Quantum drive coming back online. Life support restored. You're not going to fix my ship, Maya said to NX-427, finally understanding. You already have. By helping us prove that reality isn't about force or control, it's about choice. The crystalline being's form began to fade, its purpose fulfilled. Remember this moment, Commander Patel. Remember that when consciousness faces the choice between power and wisdom, the choice itself is what matters. As the last of the dimensional rifts sealed themselves, Maya looked at the quantum storage device, now transformed into something more than just a record of humanity's brush with interdimensional invasion. It was proof that even at the edge of existence, faced with powers beyond comprehension, consciousness still had a choice. She set a course for Earth, knowing that the truth she carried now was bigger than Project Nexus, bigger than the architects or their crystalline dreams of dominion. It was the truth about consciousness itself, that in the end, reality wasn't something to be conquered. It was something to be chosen. The stellar horizon's quantum drive hummed to life, its restored systems powered by understanding rather than mere energy. As the ship broke orbit from Europa 742, Maya thought about the 17 lives lost to protect this knowledge. They hadn't died to keep a secret, she realized. They had died to preserve a choice. And as the ship accelerated toward home, carrying its cargo of truth and possibility, Maya knew that their sacrifice had finally achieved its true purpose. Not to hide humanity from the universe, but to prove that even in the face of infinite power, consciousness still had the freedom to choose its own path. The choice between power and wisdom. Between domination and understanding. Between what is, and what could be. In the end, that was the real price of tomorrow, not the cost of keeping secrets, but the courage to choose differently when all of reality hung in the balance.